Morning guys, I'm back again to do another tattoo update vlog here. So there's been a bit of a mix up with the schedule of like how and when I got things done. So this video will kind of be the first one back on track and kind of in the sequence of events for the last little while. Obviously I wanted to show off the hand tattoos, and then I had to show off the neck tattoos and all that, just because they'd be popping up and other things, and I just wanted to have that out of the way. But it's been about a month since I've worked on my the black work, tentacles and all that stuff. So maybe even a little more than a month. It was nice to get back at it. It was nice to have a break, obviously. Anytime you're working on your stomach or ribs or anything like that non-stop for a year, pretty well, you know, it's nice to have a breather from that. So it was nice to get a break from it, but I'm really happy to be back at it. So I'll just get into how things have been healing here. So this is the side that was done in the last update. And then this is the fresh side. So you can see now this tentacle here is completely surrounded in the darker Panthera background. We even used a little more gloom this time in the mix to see what would be darker between the triple X and the gloom. We've been using like primarily triple X with, we're cutting with just a little bit of gloom just to give it a taste of the gloom because it's thicker. But this time we use primarily gloom instead of primarily triple X. So it'll be interesting to see if it's any darker or if there's any difference. Obviously, having this Panthera black shading here, especially when it's fresh, it really does drown out the dynamic. So, for example, if this wasn't here, this would look darker than it does, kind of thing, or more there than it is, right? So, like, here you see we don't have that Panthera background happening. And the tentacle stands out quite a bit, like more in and of itself. But because we have this Panthera black here, it's gonna push these guys out. And then later we're gonna go back in with the Panthera and darken the places that lightened up and basically rebuild them all again. We probably won't do that till middle of the year type thing, because it's a little daunting to do work that you've already done over again, especially when it still basically is there. So what we're going to do is we're going to get all the background elements in, including like right away here, we're going to be doing the inside of the belly and in and around these little parts of the tentacles, and obviously to finish lining the tentacles with the Panthera black so that they'll at least be popping out almost like stickers like this one. Like this is clearly separate from its background now. So at the earliest we're going to do is we're going to black out the mouths of these, like in and around the teeth. So we'll do that before we fix the rest of the tentacles. I'm pretty sure we'll go back and hit all the little openings in the tentacles to make them pop, and pop the white and silver. Obviously we're going to do another round on the red down here. We're going to do, because we did 2 rounds up here in this red, so we're going to do 2 rounds in this red. All the silver is going to, like all these highlights are going to get hit again with silver and white. That's going to be a whole day of just going around hitting the spots again. We always plan to do 2 passes. The first pass was just kind of to lighten the area, and then we always knew that the second pass was going to be the one that kind of really makes the bright difference. Right away, next up, this is another one of those things that my artist really wants to get to that I don't really, like I'm okay with doing it, but I'm not super excited about next week. I should say I have 4 in a row. So I just got tattooed yesterday. I'm getting tattooed again next week. We're going to be doing the black inside the eye again. I'm not super looking forward to it because it's a lot of pain and it's a lot of like, it's really finicky. Takes a lot of time, like way more than you would think. To look at this, it's not a particularly large area, but because you're using small mags to pack all that black, and it's really like particular, like you have to be really precise. It usually takes between 3 and 3.5 hours to pack all that black. And I have a feeling most people wouldn't want to do this again, but Rick really needs it to be as dark as the sides of the eyes. It's bugging him because this was done with Dynamic and this was done with the Panthera XXX in Gloom. So for him, it's really important to do this. And I know we're going to end up doing it anyway, so I'm just going to let him go. Like I've told him now, we're at a point with this where I'd rather him be happy with what he's doing. So I'd rather him just pick away at it in the way he wants. But I still want to get a few things off my list, like more quicker too. So like I'm going to get this done next week, but then the following week we're going to do the white and black and the roses on my neck, so that they'll be more like this one. That was our bargain, because he really doesn't want to work on my neck again anytime soon, just because it was a lot of, for anyone that watched my relining neck roses video, it was a pain in the ass to do it, and he's not super looking forward to doing it again, but at least it'll be easier now that they're lined. And I don't really blame him for not wanting to do it, honestly. I don't really want to sit through it either. I've kind of had enough of neck tattoos. I think I said in the neck relining video that I don't really plan to do too much more to my neck, and God knows that could change, but like, it's just a particularly, for me, it's a lot of discomfort, and I'd rather just get this Panthera and white in and see how that goes. Wait a year before we dare come back to it again, if we need to. From there, who knows where my suit will be at. I've said the same thing about this rose. I may end up putting a little bit of red highlight in it too. So there's all kinds of things that like you get done with for a little while, like where you're just disgusted with the whole process of it, and then you get a break from it, and then you're reinvigorated and ready to go again. And there's always more you can do, even if you're not working on like a black on black or white on black type thing. Like even if you're just getting like a traditional style tattoo, or even like black and gray tattoos, whatever, like for the most part, like the more you do, the better things will be. So there really is no limit to this, but I think the limit is always like how sick of it you are, or like how tired of working on it you are, or how much money you have potentially, whatever the case. There's generally always more work to be done if you want to. So as I said, we're going to be doing the neck, not to get on a rant there, the neck roses. We're going to be filling this one in the rest of the way, and we're going to do all the white and black highlights. The rose, if it had been lined, probably would have only taken 20-25 minutes. So shading all of this stuff on the neck is probably only going to take 2 hours, I would think. 2-3 hours at the most. And the first time we did them, because we were using dynamic black then, we were dot working everything in order to get things to show up. That took us like 4.5 hours. But I think when you don't have to dot things, you can just use traditional styles of shading. You just move twice as fast, if not faster. So I'm not anticipating that to be a very long session. So I should say this last session we did on down here took about 3 hours. Again, we're using small mags. There are some areas that are blacked out, which would lead you to think maybe we used big mags, but that was done with small mags too, because again, you're in nooks and crannies and spots that require precision. So you're using, 7 and 9 mags for that. You're not able to bust out that 27 mag and make it go super fast, because if you did that, you lose a lot of the texture that we're going for. So most of this stuff is much slower than the blackout, because we're using 7, 9s, 11 mags instead of 27s and 23s, which is what I use for my blackout. So yeah, it's going quite a bit slower in terms of actual like ground covered per session. And that's always fairly typical of anything super detailed, as opposed to blackout, where you're just going for smooth spaces across big areas. But anyway, the final session I'm having for this 4-week stretch is going to be, I want it to be anyway. I'm thinking Rick will go for it too. I want to fill in the space in between my belly button like I was talking about before, and then that won't take too long. I think that'll probably only be an hour of the session. So I think after that we'll do the black and the mouths of the tentacles. I think that's probably a good use of that. And that'll be an immediate upgrade to the tentacles. I think just having that deeper black in there, so they're not just surrounded by it, they'll be part of it. Like, it'll be incorporated in the design of the tentacles. It'll just bring everything more together. From there, I'm not exactly sure where I'm going. I think I'll probably end up doing another session on my hands like I talked about. Even though this one, especially this one, has come back to life over the last few weeks. I just did a video revealing how they healed, but I think it looks even better now than it did then. That's often the case with this stuff. I think we'll probably do that. And then after that, it'll just be just picking away at my torso and kind of whatever direction we want to go with it, probably for the rest of the year, or at least most of it. We've talked about my arms. Maybe once we get most of the Panthera black in and we're just picking away at highlights, we'll finally lay out my arms, and then we can kind of jump around so that I get a breather from it. Because that was most of the reason I wanted to work on the neck and the hands again, is just to kind of diversify the content, you know, and what we're beating up here a bit. But overall, most of the year is going to be again spent on the torso, and I think there's a chance we'll get to the end of it this year, but there's a, I'd say 50-50 chance we'll be finishing it up next year, and then it'll be all about my arms. So for anyone who's looking forward to seeing how my sleeves turn out, you're going to have to wait a little longer. And since my whole life is going to be changing soon, my tattooing future is going to change slightly, but it shouldn't be much of a difference. I'm going to make a whole video about some of the things that are happening in the next few months career-wise for me, just so that it's not like bit by bit in small videos, and so that I can have it out there and stop kind of alluding to it and mentioning it, but never really, you know, fully talking about it. Anyway, this is getting a little ranty, so I'll just show it off one more time. So that's fresh, and it might be a little darker than the healed, but even if it's at the exact same, it doesn't look that much crazier. Again, this is all healed, so we're trying to get this color everywhere in between the tentacles. And we basically nailed it here already. And then Rick is just getting a little greedy and ambitious, trying to get even darker. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I think it's really looking cool. The whole thing is coming together. It's got like a real flow. Like, it doesn't look like it did before. If I show you what the blackout looked before, like, I'll be doing a side-by-side of this versus the blackout torso before. This is a whole different thing now. And it's only going to get more and more different. As you can see, these white highlights are quite prominent. All those white highlights are going to be down here eventually too. So, as I didn't mention it earlier, I will say all the negative spots in this shading are going to be white, like we did with the chest. So the contrast between the old black and the new black is going to be ramped up with the white. There's a lot of people out there that don't have the vision. I just wrote a caption about this on a picture. A lot of people don't have the vision that I have for this, and that's okay. Then in that case, take it on faith. I'm going to get there, and when I am there, it's going to be pretty otherworldly, and it's going to be, I know I've said it before, but it's going to be unlike anything anyone else has ever done before, because I don't think anyone's ever thrown the kitchen sink at something the way I am and gone to his artist, I don't care how long that we're working on this. I told him that yesterday. I said, I honestly don't care how long it takes us. I don't care if we're ever finished. I just want the coolest tattoo we can do. So however many layers that is, that's what I'm in for. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys again soon. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And yeah, have a great day.